Welcome to the Smart Home Surgery with me, Ben Davies. I have travelled far and wide today for the last episode. It will be the last episode, all the way up to Bonnie, Scotland, to Glasgow.
Welcome.
It's not how you say it, is it?
It's like a bald hobbit. Travelled miles.
Welcome.
Wow, yeah. Hairy, massive feet. I just walked up here. Yeah, with my bad back.
Mm-hmm.
He's only been in Glasgow for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Already insulted.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Right. It's important that we start the podcast with what we're talking about. That's brands, building brands, selling brands. It's one person in particular here that's useful and tied to, but I think there's still a topic around it that is important, and especially from my perspective, what's your exit and what's your out? And I think I'd like to delve into your mind, Dave.
No, that's a scary place. You don't want to go there.
I know his exit plan's like, I don't know, a Def Leppard concert.
My exit plan's that door.
I have two of the finest examples of Scotland sat in front of me. I mean, I only know 6 or 7.
But we're in the top 15%.
Yeah,
not bad, is
but
it?
you're held in high esteem in my eyes. I've got Mr. Colin Urie from Gallo Acoustics. Is it still the brand? Are you still allowed to say that?
Yeah. We are Pulseight and we are Gallo Acoustics side by side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got Mr. Dave Wilson from Dizztribution.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, it's going to be difficult with Dave today, I think. He doesn't feel like he's in the vibe.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. It's good. I really
Are you
like
anxious?
No, I'm glad I'm part of the E3 podcast. It's really good.
Yeah. This is how it's going to be.
He's combative.
I know.
I know. Once the mic's on,
I think I
know.
can sit back here. This is Joe Rogan. You guys carry on.
The shit Joe Rogan of the AV industry. Is that how?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking I'm waiting for the Stephen Bartlett. He's determined to make everybody cry.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for like halfway through. You're going to start bringing out my family photographs, hoping for a little
Colin,
clickbait.
we'll just talk about some of the things that happen late night at EI Live, and I think that will bring a tear to your eyes. I mean, I get emotional when I think about Roddy turning up at EI Live with loads of McDonald's.
Brilliant.
That was an emotional one, especially when he's super hungover and you see a jolly Scottish Roddy man walk into that building with just back-to-back, egg McMuffins.
Because he lost a bet.
Yeah.
And he fulfilled his promise.
He is.
Superstar.
He is a superstar. Should we just leave it there?
Did he drive through or did he go in and use the touchscreen?
There was a fuel crisis.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have driven.
No.
Enough to get home.
He had to get home, and that was on vapors. So, right, let's do an introduction to you beautiful men properly. So we'll start with you, Dave. Can you tell us a little about yourself and your business?
I'm Dave from Dizzyfish, and Dizzyfish has been in existence for about 10 years. We are installers, we're distributors, and we just love AV, and we love everyone associated with AV.
Interesting. It feels like that was prepped.
Oh yeah, just in my head, it's always there. It's just
a tattoo.
when anyone asks.
You are a unicorn of the industry, a
unicorn.
Installer / distributor, one of one.
National animal of Scotland as well. It is. We've got a made-up animal as our national animal.
He
he doesn't know whether to believe you.
Always,
Does he?
it's hard.
It's 100% passport time. Anyway,
Have you noticed already the arms are folded? He's like nervous.
yeah,
He's
no,
like
this is not a joke.
I'm a British man, an English man in Glasgow.
Genuinely not a joke.
Okay.
It's not relevant to this discussion.
Yeah. Where are we going with it?
Well,
He called me a unicorn.
It's going to come up in trivia in someone's pub quiz on Friday night.
Can you imagine that?
And they listen to this.
The 1% of the world that will ever know that. Well, hopefully they'll listen to this podcast and they're writing things down. I always make sure that our listeners I've got a notepad and pen with them. It's important. I don't taste like shit. No one told me, because there's nuggets of information, not from me. They're usually the guests that you can't
prepare for.
Well, yeah, they're the training courses of life, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say. And in the red corner, I should say blue, would have been better for the brand, wouldn't it?
Cyan.
Yeah, fucking hell. I'll tell you what. You can tell
It's a tough
this
crowd.
is where it starts.
Panton.
Actually, I think you'll find it's Panton 37924. And if you want to get your Gallo acoustics route, please call 01304.
Stephen Pitt.
I like the way you get him involved. Poor lad's just like that. Fucking hell. It's the last thing I need this week. Another 600 phone calls for someone saying they want tartan paint.
I spoke to Colin and he said you could do it.
Yeah, exactly. Go on then, Colin. Give us a piece.
Yeah, so who am I? I am one of the owners of Gallo Acoustics that we bought from the Americans in 2016 and subsequently sold to the Pulseight Group last year. So I'm now part of the larger Pulseight Gallo Acoustics Group.
That was really concise.
I had a few minutes to think about it.
I hate to drag it down. Remember the first time we met and you tried to get us to sell Gallo acoustics? We met at a kid's playground in Gobbles in Glasgow.
Whoa,
Yeah.
wait a second.
With a briefcase. It was the most spooks it had ever
I
been.
can see Colin's little face now. I was like, shit, Pulse's legal team are going to go crazy on this. We're going to have to get rid of that part.
It was the most I've ever felt like an episode of Spooks because you had this little metal case.
Yeah, we had the Gallo metal
Yeah,
demo case
yeah,
that
I remember that,
we still promote, and it was
It was a
I met him
bench
in a
on the
play park,
street.
and he wasn't that interested, and we both pulled up out into the play park.
Did you do the walk and handover? That would have been brilliant. Like as you passed each other.
Tried to, but he wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
There's all these other
Second attempt,
speaker
third
men.
attempt, you know.
There's all these other speaker guys with newspapers with holes cut out.
That was really
I don't
early
want to
on.
know why they were there, Dave. If I'm
No, I
completely
don't.
honest. I think this has gone down a very dark avenue which we can't
But
recoup
then
from.
you sent me a pile of speakers.
Yeah.
try.
Early on with Gallo, so we had bought the brand from Anthony Gallo Acoustics America, and effectively restarted it in the CI market over here, and it was one by one, dealer by dealer, which is really satisfying actually.
Oh, well, that's don't go too fast. Don't go too fast because I think it's part of the journey and part of the story of the brand building. So when you already had a brand in the UK, you already had something. This isn't like the first shot at the market.
No, so there was two things really. So David, our CEO, his original business had distributed Anthony Gallo in the UK from 2002 onwards, and I was an employee of his business. And then in 2004, we started a brand called Revo, a radio brand. So DAB internet radios sold through John Lewis and people like that. And then the opportunity in 2016 to take over Gallo came up. So we had already. My time had been mostly spent on Revo from 2004 onwards. So that was kind of consumer electronics. That was going down and meeting with Dixons and Comet and all these companies that are not the way they used to be. So before that, we were selling to the hi-fi stores because CI in 2003, CI was a hi-fi shop with a van outside that can come and install the product. So when we got the call in 2016 and we thought we could take on Gallo and actually effectively reboot it from the UK, the focus was CI. And so for me, it was a brand new market actually.
How did you go about tackling that market? Because it's a very different pull. I mean, because I say obviously previously that it's not your first brand, but it's your first brand that you have to take to a custom in-store market, to a service market, which is a completely different beast. It's not like going to Dixon's knowing that there's 50 shops. They want to see their margin. They want to see their bits and pieces. And as long as they're happy, actually, it works for everyone.
But that's a crucial point. So I would go to John Lewis every July to sit down with their buyers, and I was getting older and they were getting younger.
Yeah.
And our life, the future of our business depended on what they'd prepared for in that meeting. And I'd be rushing out the meeting on the phone to the guys back in Scotland saying, right, we're fine. They're going to take on this range for this year, this Christmas, or we've got a problem, they're overstocked. So suddenly with Gallo, you're bringing on, in the UK to begin with, installers one by one, and none of them can make or break your business. And then the international distributors one by one. So it was much, you're dealing with owner occupiers of businesses all day long. And you in turn are an owner of the business that of the products you're trying to sell. So it was, it's much slower, and it took the first 18 months. I found quite excruciating trying, because the brand was building, the social media was great, the awareness was really good, but we weren't seeing the revenue. And I was pulling my hair out, going, guys, I don't know what else to do here. I feel like I'm doing all the right things. We've got everybody on board, but I hadn't quite realised how long it takes for a project to come through. So that installer I met a year ago loved the products, has spec'd it for 5 projects, but none of them have started yet.
Yeah.
So I think having the robustness of every customer and the spread of customers, your life is not dependent upon one international distributor or one big UK retailer. It's just a much nicer place to be. Genuinely.
Did you find when you took over that Gallo was mainly at the audiophile market rather than the CI market?
It must have been.
Before that, it was. They'd had a few years where they hadn't quite kept up with stock, and they hadn't reinvented themselves in any way, and no new products. So
No square ones now.
No square ones. No square ones.
Fuck's sake.
It's all about
R&D, fire them.
Give us time. Time. So,
although, can I just bring something up quickly? See the new acoustic outdoor speaker?
yes.
That just looks like the Gallo Minecrafted.
Yes.
It looked like someone took Gallo and then posted it into Minecraft, and they went, "Yep, perfect."
They got the Roblox range out next year.
Nice little product.
Yeah. See where they're going with it. It's like someone's done it before. Anyway, that'll have to be edited out.
Subsat. I thought initially we'll go for the hi-fi shops, and that's easy. There's 20 hi-fi shops, 20 big hi-fi shops at the time. I'll just jump in the car and see them all. But they'd all moved on to, they wanted to be selling 100 grand hi-fi systems. Of course
they did.
Yeah. So Gallo would kind of, for Gallo to launch in there in 2002, it was easy because there was nothing, these little colourful things that hadn't existed before, and you'd sell your 5 grand plasma and your 5.1 system. But in 2016, they didn't really want to talk about it. So hence the pivot immediately over to CI and onto CDIA and the tech summits and all these things, and just one by one brick by one brick. And that's why that's what was really satisfying about it, because every single day felt like you'd added to the build.
Yeah.
And that carried on for years.
Interesting. So let's flip over to you, Mr. Dizzyfish, because I'm interested to know what was your pivot point. So there's a pivot point there from Mr. Urie. You had this installation service business. And when did it become apparent that you thought, I need to change this brand into something that is not service level to a client, but B2B? Because there must have been a pain point somewhere. And that's what I want to kind of drive towards. There's a pain point that you're like, something's not working for me.
It was lockdown. Lockdown was what changed.
Fucking lockdown.
No, it's
sick of it.
Yeah, that's what changed us. We got approached by 2 companies. One was Hide It Mounts, who we were the first to take that into the UK about 10, 12 years ago, something like that. And they wanted a UK distributor. In fact, we talked to you about it.
Yeah.
And they wanted,
said no.
Yeah. And then they wanted somebody who could do it here. So we said, well, why don't we do it? And another one was Tover interactive projectors for people with dementia.
Okay.
And we said, we'll do that as well. So we took them on board, we set it up, and then companies just started reaching out. They wanted somebody who knew the industry and wanted it to be a little bit different. And our focus is all, since we started doing it and now, it's always on the supplier, the integrator, and ourselves getting the best deal. So there's not us trying to push people to the bottom line or trying to get the most out of people. Everyone has to get a good deal for that triangle to work, and that's what we aim at.
Okay. And I suppose that's your USP to both to the brands and to the actual service, as in the CI install.
Yeah, we want to give everyone the best deal, so everybody comes out of it going, that was the best thing we did. And we say to a lot of the suppliers that we want it to be in 5 years, we're sitting down having a beer saying that was the best thing we ever did.
Very
and
nice.
that's our focus.
Can I just put a strapline in? For installers. Buy installers. For installers, buy installers.
Oh, Colin, you're good, aren't you?
Yeah. I know. We can cut that. We can cut that.
Try
and that
again.
is the edit.
I've got a strapline. For installers, buy installers.
Well, it'd also be buy installers, for installers too, couldn't it?
Okay. Interestingly, though, with that business model, is there any point within the brand itself? So you kept your service level brand, and then you, I suppose, transformed it, converted it into a distribution. So it's not 2 separate entities. Is there a problem from the outside market, or do you see a problem from the outside market who think, well, wait a second, I'm not able to really focus down on who you are and what you are, because are you a distributor or are you an installer?
Why do you have to be classified as one or the other? Surely you can be a third classification, which is both. If I'm an installer and a distributor, everything we distribute, we install. So if you phone me with a problem with a product that you're installing. I've probably installed it last week, so I can probably guide you through it. I can probably help you and become part of your team.
But I think you're missing the aggravation of this industry, which is there's always trust issues. We see it in general, just from a brand perspective or from a distribution perspective, is that as soon as someone drops a ball, that's it, the trust is gone. How I suppose I see it, I'm playing semi-devil's advocate here, is if I was an installer in Glasgow, for instance, which is your domain, why would I want to use your products knowing that you're in the same realm as those? You know, you might be coming up against me. All I'm trying to work out is, have you seen or have you felt any confusion from any of those guys, or do you predict it when you're trying to grow this brand?
Not really, because our brand is all about being true to what our values are, and that's important with a brand. You're a kind of slave to your brand. It's not about me. It's about Dizzyfish. It's about distribution, and it's got the ethics
it's not about you, though. But
it's not, though. And we've got installers.
Let's play a game of like, who's the person behind the brand? Okay, Gallo.
Dave.
But you look at Glasgow for an example, and we've got, because we are doing so much with distribution and we're doing so much with Dizzyfish, there's a lot of other jobs that we can't do. So we pass them on to local integrators who are in the Glasgow area, who we know and trust to do those jobs. Now, we pass them on for no reward to do that, and we give them the jobs to do. And that's important because the guys here are really, really good. They're good installers.
But it's a personal reputation thing. So if people know, and presumably do, that Dave's not going to sweep in and undercut them on the same job because he's got the distribution margin, say, he knows he's not going to do that. But the problem you have is the trust goes immediately in this industry when a manufacturer tries to sell to the end user that's spec'd, or another installer comes in and takes over the job, and when they really shouldn't have. There's an etiquette. So I think your personal brand, to use the phrase, is probably dwarfs everything else because they know Dave's got their back either way.
Yeah, I always look at these things. I always try and zoom out at the landscape, you know, and have a look at it from everyone's perspective. I'm not saying that people actually do that, but I would have a feeling, just because I know how many aggravated men are in this industry that get frustrated over the smallest things. What is interesting with Dizzyfish, and you know, when we put this podcast out there, Dave was the first one to come back to me and was like, "Why do you want me there?" And also, they were sitting here going, "Why are we not doing any of the fucking questions that you wrote down before this?" This is the point. They're a red herring, as they say.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I'll send you some questions beforehand. You get all prepped for it, and then I fuck off on a tangent. That's what I do.
Can I just say I didn't read them?
I got ChatGPT read them for me and told me how to answer.
Yeah.
So I've not spent any time on it, but I do have the answers.
You do have
ready.
the answers, yeah. That's it. All in AI format. Yeah. And here is my AI representative to read them out to you. No, interestingly, where do you see an exit from service level? And so have you got...
I ask him this every
month. So it's an interesting one though, isn't it? Yep. Is that if I was, and I know how many people are in this industry that do this, is that they've got a little side burner going on, a little side project, like bubbling away in the little background. Some people have podcasts. Some people have a product that they've had in mind that they're trying to grow. Some people are, you know, it's so interesting. And that's why I love this industry from a meeting people, because they'll be like, oh, you know what, custom install doing really well for me. I've got a thing. And you're like, go on, tell me what that thing is. And it could be completely obscure.
Oh, unrelated.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Absolutely.
And I think, it always feels like there's an underlying, I don't know, like frustration from custom install. Like it's a hard graft. It's stressful. And I think people are looking for a bit of a golden ticket.
And the obvious thing is the product, because they're installing things they're not happy with.
Yeah.
The ergonomics are not right.
And they look at Colin selling his business and
Lamborghinis lined up. I'm like the Tate brothers.
Exactly.
It is a nice Lamborghini.
Thanks. Which one?
That's it.
Well, you only took one today. But
okay.
I like the photos of the other one.
The funny thing is, Dave, it's going to last 5 minutes outside in that Glasgow street. It's
probably gone already.
It's about as fast as it is 200 mile an hour as it is getting nicked, you know. So, but I think that's it. You look out to the market.
We get it all the time. We've had phone over the last 5 years. Colin, you make things. You make things here. You make them in Taiwan. I've got this idea, right? And it happens all the time. And they're all installers, and they're all trying to fix a problem. And some of them turn into products that we know and we all sell. And some don't because it's a harebrained idea that only helps their installations once a year. But it was still the right idea. It's whether it's then commercially viable. So you absolutely see it all the time from installers.
And that's why you're here,
Yes,
Dave.
that's
I'm
why
interested
Dave-
to know if there's an exit. Because if the distribution gets to the point where your wife's involved as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
So, is there a point where you get to spend more valuable family time at home by not having to do the travel, even if it is 20 minutes to a job site and back again, and you get to run that distribution side, that business, that side hustle as a main focus?
I suppose we're kind of evolving that way already because we moved away from the shop when Meg and my daughter came along because I didn't want to be working weekends. So we don't work weekends. We don't travel away really unless it's big jobs that we have to do. So we have kind of moved that way. The smaller jobs we don't do now, we pass on to our people because we don't have the time to do it. But just now we're putting 6 metre wide screens into stadiums and speakers in and all of this sort of thing and the fun jobs that we want to do.
So is there a part of you, is there an engineer inside of you that can't give up those, even though...
No, there's a USP.
No, because interestingly, when we look at it from the outside perspective, if someone came into your business, they'd be like, well, wait a second, you've got brands coming to you, asking you to promote them, your revenue stream is decent coming in from the distribution side of things. Your return on investment here just needs more focus. By you fucking off and putting a 6 metre wide screen up for 2 days and not honing in on that brand, are you not giving it the time to let it flourish?
Not really, because most of my time's taken with talking to guys about installing stuff or issues that they're having and that sort of thing. And we install as part of what we do. Avril takes on board all of the web page stuff and the social media stuff, and the stuff that promotes businesses is done by Avril. She does her blog, she does all of that side of it, and she's really learning the industry and very big part of what we do. Before, I was doing that when she was still at the university, and that we couldn't hit. We hit a saturation point with that, and we needed to do something, and that's where we've become too.
I suppose my question on that is, so your reason to continue installing? Because I agree, I look at it and go, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Compared to shifting some more boxes.
I also think it's
crudely.
very difficult to have those two mindsets.
Yeah.
To be able to go...
But it's not. It's difficult for you. It's difficult for me to do a podcast and do installation. I couldn't do that.
I don't do that.
You don't do it well.
You're really trying to figure out what if I do two things, dear David, and what you're going to realise is I do this pretty badly. I do installing even worse. So
I didn't say you did it well. I said you did it.
So I suppose the question would be: do you want to continue the installations because you love it, or because it's core to the distribution side?
Yeah.
Or a bit of both?
I don't love crawling around lofts and under floors, but I do love the actual installation side of it. I'm not a geek with technology, but I like the people. I like solving people's issues. I like the end product that you have.
Superman syndrome.
Of what?
Superman syndrome.
I hate Superman. He's not a good superhero.
I'm just saying, it's what I've got, is that even no matter the level of installer you've got in your business, whether it's yourself or it's people that you employ, is there's always a Superman with Superman syndrome. Is that what they like to do is fly into the situation, fix it, stand there in that superhero pose, usually with like an upshot, arm folded, head in the sky, and think they're the gangster. Do you know what? Like, I get it, because there is something so palatable and so joyful about solving a problem. And there's something about like walking away from the situation and being like, that actually needed me, and I feel like I'm wanted and I'm needed in a situation.
But you've got guys who come in and do your stuff. So you're talking about the Superman syndrome as in you come in at the end and it's all sorted, yeah?
No, not particularly. Like, it could be at any stage. It could be at any stage. It could be at a design stage. You're looking at something on a piece of paper and someone's been looking at, we all have this, looking on a piece of paper for 2 days. Why can't we figure out the problem? And then some cheeky fucking mug turns up and goes, "Do you know what you should do? Just drop that down a bit." And you're like, "Yeah, that's exactly what I should have done."
Really obvious, and I could have stared at it.
But and there's a bit in there that you have to allow them to be like, that's their knowledge, that's their thing that they. You know, but it's Superman syndrome, and it's a good thing.
But see, we've got one slight thing with that. We don't have engineers, so we've just got me and we've just got Avro.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's that the clients look at you and they go like, "Wow, we've had the electrician in, we've had the IT guy in, we've had this guy in."
All of us as integrators are Supermen then.
Well, you get variances of it. Right. And so there is people that have been in it for 10 years and they've had 10 years of experience and heritage behind them that unfortunately and annoyingly, they can walk into a situation and go, move that way, put that down, do that. And, you know, the other people say, oh, fucking, he's right, you know, and we should have that.
Can that be Batman?
Can't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because he's too aggravated. He's too, you know what I mean? Plus, he's a billionaire, which is no custom installer.
You're right.
Like his alter ego is just not a custom installer. You know what I mean? And no one turns up to site and goes, "I'm Batman."
He's the ideal works guy.
That's so cool.
But it's like what I find interesting is that how at some point the distribution will grow. You know, like. It's inevitable.
You're building the pipes, and you can basically fill the pipes with more.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
And at what point do you bring a distribution manager in, and then you carry on doing installs and doing the technical side of things? The reason why it's really interesting, because it's when you're focusing on brands, your brand is you. Your brand, Colin, is you. It has been like it's that name association game, isn't it? That if we say the name or say the brand, people will go to you, and it's a really difficult thing to move away from to then make it so then it doesn't consume your life.
Yes,
because the conversations I've had with Colin along the way is like I do love the social media stuff, but there is quite a lot of us behind this brand. Yeah. It isn't just me.
It's just you're the front of house. You get all the credit. You get all the blame when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
You can't get too high in your own supply. That's because you can.
But is it possible to build a brand? I know it is, but maybe within our arena with such a small niche of a market, is it possible to build a brand without a face behind it?
I think the winners you can think of over the last 5 years are the people that you can pin a person to.
Pinder?
I was about to say HDA is Pinder.
Yeah. It's because you need to work on it. So you can't just have a brander. You need to work on the brand, and you need to make the brand good at what it is. So you need somebody who's front and center working on it.
Yeah, but when does it fall over to a corporate space where you can stand? Well,
in this industry, that's the beauty of the industry. And so going back to the
Control 4's on the NASDAQ. Let's look at that. Yeah. I mean, Snap One is maybe.
Still Jason to me.
Jason Kiridia.
You can't. Yeah.
He checked out a long time ago, mate. If I'm completely honest, you know what I mean. He's too busy taking photos on his numerous holidays.
He's very good at that.
He's very good, annoyingly good. Yeah.
But I think that was the beauty. That's the realization I had after kind of 18 months in was, hang on, people do want to hear from the guys behind the scenes here and want to see videos of these people. It would never work trying to convince end users to walk into John Lewis to spend £500 on an all singing, all dancing audio product that we would manufacture. That journey was so hard. But just getting Dave in Glasgow, Jim in London to buy Gallo for their next project because you put yourself in a team forward, that's much easier to do.
What do you think that you are very unique in, I suppose, in a life cycle of what I remember in the industry of taking a brand which relatively is quite young. I know it's got heritage, but like if you take it from when you owned it from 2016 to when you sold it in 2022, it's a really short period of time,
of which a third of it was COVID.
Yeah.
So it's a completely bizarre little window.
So what do you think makes you different from maybe some of the other brands out there that are not getting the same traction?
We benefited because the products were very good. So what we bought from America was a fantastic range of products. So that was there, and the sphere, just such a simple thing.
It's not unique though.
No, it's not unique, but compared to most of the people in this industry trying to make really complex electronics and make them reliable with software updates and certification for worldwide approval, all these things that we just basically got our hands on immediately. So the focus could be upon building the brand around that existing product range, because we didn't start churning out new products for the first. It was kind of 24 months in before we started launching droplets. The Habitat Outdoor, but again, they were all in line with the existing platform. And again, you don't have returns, you don't have things that are going wrong particularly, because most of the sales are passive speakers. So
we've blown a few up.
Sorry,
we've blown a few up along the way.
People blow them.
Yeah.
You're there to facilitate the brand. You're there as a personality, but you're there to facilitate the brand. You're there to get the brand to people and to control the ethos behind the brand.
We just need to get it in front of. If we get Gallo in front of every single installer in the UK and Europe and so on, then a percentage of them will spec it for their next product. It was a really basic system.
Yeah, but how do you think? Because everyone does that. Mm-hmm. What's different? I'm really interested to know what's different and what your approach to it. Personally, I think it is you built a community around Gallo.
We absolutely did, and I talk about the community.
And I don't think anyone else has done that. Everyone else is too busy going, this is a product and it's going to solve your problems, and then they forget about all the other stuff that encapsulates working with the brand. Is that knowing the person, knowing what makes them happy, being innovative, but also keeping it simple. And that sounds so polarized on both sides. But if you look at Gallo as a brand, what did you do that was different? And it wasn't really that different. You could change the color of it, but you marketed it so much better than anyone else.
Thank you.
I genuinely did. I sometimes think that with everyone else that offers it as a service, they're like, it's not that hard. You just got to take photos of it in different fucking colors. But you just put.
Oh no, that's your whole life.
No, but it was beautifully done. It was the way you set the scenes of it, and you were also very conscious of things that were going on in the world. So you do like an Easter version. You do, it was, sometimes kitsch, but sometimes cool.
Yeah. But when you've got a community, when you've built the community, that's not why I didn't realize that would happen. When you build a community of Gallo people, you're just being fed Gallo images from all around the world, all the installations and comments and videos from people. So I'd wake up every morning to this whole new batch of social media content that we could just regurgitate because we built the community.
But you rewarded that as well, because you encouraged people to do it, and then you'd share it on the
we didn't. We weren't fearful about promoting other people and other brands, and I would tag other speaker brands in posts where Gallo was sitting alongside a triad thing for Art of Smart. I would happily tag everybody, because not everyone's running away. You can mention another podcast. No one's just, we don't listen to that anymore because we've got a new idea. You can do both. And I think it was just the security of, we're building something really strong here. We've got a great community, and we don't need to have the insecurity that it might all disappear one day.
Yeah, no fear.
And then no one's, like, your competitors are not your enemies. We were really close. We were really close with our competitors.
I think that's because you were very dominant in that space. Like, people, it's a little bit like Rich at Art Smart, that people like to push against him, but they also, there's a lot of people out there that were like, I want to be doing content like he's doing. I want to be putting myself out there, but I'm afraid of stepping away from the corporate angle of being like, I need to conform.
Yes.
And it's like, when you see someone doing it, you're like, oh, it's so fucking annoying. Like, I want to do the same thing. I want to step away. I want to have an opinion about something. And it's so refreshing. And as soon as that kind of, it's broken, it's like, you see people doing it all over the place. And it's like, this is brilliant. This is exactly what it should be.
But these are the conversations. I have conversations at trade shows with the biggest brands you can think of in our industry. And they'd say, I look at that post from Gallo and I go, right, okay, I'm going to do that. And I send it over to head office, and 3 weeks pass, and it comes back with modifications. He's like,
it doesn't fit within our brand guidelines.
By which point the time had gone, because it was like an Easter post or something.
That's it.
So
and I'm sympathetic to that.
I tell you where this comes a little bit full circle is that this is the conversation I have with Matt at Cedia, is that they have these brand guidelines and they get so frustrated because they'd love to just pivot and just do something fun.
Yes.
But then it's like, oh, we can't. We've got to kind of conform. We've got to stick within these lines. It's got to go right the way up to the top and then come back down again. By the time that's happened, guess what? It's missed the beat.
I don't know how you can possibly scale it up either.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you could just have a shit show of. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't actually know. It's easy when there's only 5 of you in an office in Lanark. I don't know how you scale that up.
So how is it now? Do you have brand guidelines now?
Yes. Now, good. That's called an interlude in between. That's a nice little interjunction there to go into
Back from the break.
acquisition, because now, do you still have the freedom?
I do still have the freedom. It's been, so I'm 6 months in now. And
it sounds like a sentence.
No.
It does. I'm 6 months in. I might get out on good behaviour in another 12.
Great. I get the exercise yard and got my TV.
That's it. Getting whipped around the yard by Pulseight.
I'm doing the linen. No, I still have control. But now you're doing it across 2 brands. And there's a different message for both brands.
So you now involved in the Pulseight brand from a marketing perspective to try and raise that. It's interesting because when that happened, I'm going to be completely honest. It's my podcast. I can do what I fucking want. That's the first thing that I thought about.
Yeah.
Is that, like everyone, why is Pulseight bought Gallo? And the first thing I thought was to increase and create a better marketing version outlook of Pulseight. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. They've had their problems, which we all know, and they're not the only people. And by acquiring someone that was so sought after, so looked up to within their peers within the industry, and you are good at pivoting a brand and changing the outlook from people.
I think as well it'll be your whole team. So if you and everyone behind you have been involved in that, and I think that's what Pulseight have got.
I find that really fascinating.
And it's not straightforward. Like I walked in with supreme confidence.
And how do you rail colour a Pulseight matrix, by the way? Is that
I've made some lovely renders of new products. In the rack.
I'm gonna
behind
get into trouble.
Behind the TV.
I was like,
yeah. Fuck's sake, we did a remote.
Yeah,
should have done the rail coloured matrices. That's all people have been asking for. Yeah.
So it's not even. It's not. No one. I've not been handed I mean, I did get a brand guidelines, but it wasn't that. That's more.
You went a that.
Well, it's more
just straight out the window.
That's more about logos and colours and positioning.
Yeah,
I'm here to tear her up. But you've got 2 separate brands with 2 separate communities and messages. So you're trying to make both work, and feeling quite busy at the same time. So I'm still learning how to do that. So we put a lot more. The Pulseight socials have ramped up. There's a lot more going out. There's some really nice shots and videos and stuff coming. And we're going up to Inverness on Wednesday to do a big case study with Dave Coots up there.
Good
a sports bar Pulseight installation.
He is a good guy.
And he's an amazing guy.
You kind of not like David Coots.
We keep it close. We keep it close up here.
Yeah, heard.
So I'm still learning how to do that because Gallo, you don't. When you're in your comfort zone, you don't realize you're in your comfort zone. You have to get out of that, and that was the kind of October realization. It's like I knew exactly what I was doing, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I was so comfortable with it, and shit, that guy
now
over there.
Got managers.
Yeah, and you're answerable to people, and there's a management call. You're reporting back on stuff, but also 40% of my job's now done by that guy, and 30% is done by that girl, and so suddenly you're like, okay, so. What do I have to do? I've got to carve out this new area for me. So it's been a challenge. I'm grabbing it now and getting a hold of it.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting. It wasn't, as I say, your comfort zone's a really nice place to be, and you don't realize you're there.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think.
By the way, this has become like a co-hosted podcast with me and you asking Colin questions.
I'm going to turn it back round again. Yeah. It's exciting. We've got big plans. It's obviously they're a much larger business. So we're now a group of 80 or 90 people. The Gallo guys are still based in Lanark as they were before, but we've got some really big plans. Really, really big plans.
I just want to touch on social media for a second, because both of you have used the O'Doon brothers for about a good 12 months, even longer now, isn't it? 2
Oh,
years?
yeah. You'll be 3 years, I'll be 2 years.
5 years. So where was, obviously we'll go back to the building of the brand perspective. So when you moved into distribution, you know, like you have to raise your game a little bit. You know, you're up against some big boys out there. You maybe Pulse or one of the first people to start doing a bit more video content. Same with you, Colin, to be honest, like going out there and doing more personable, actual non-static images. What was the decision behind that?
Rich Heppel.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah.
Well, we first met Daniel with the Rocks basketball team. He worked for them, and we were a sponsor, and we did a piece where their mascot was getting their TV put on the wall. The guy who was their mascot needed his TV put on the wall, so we saw an opportunity to do that, and that's when we first met Daniel. And he did work for Dizzyfish. And then when distribution came along, we realised that a lot of the brands we were getting had product images, but nothing lifestyle-y. So our whole point was anything that we had, we'd go to Daniel and his team and they would get photos taken, and then they would be available for anybody who bought the product to use, not just for us. There was a folder that people could go in there, they could use images and use them on their socials. Nice. And that was the whole point behind it, kind of like what you guys do.
Yeah.
So that's why we used O'Doom Brothers, and they're incredibly cool. You feel so uncool when you're in their presence. So they're good.
Dave introduced them to me. So it was during lockdown. He was doing he'd put some Gallos into. No, it was before that. It was we had got together on some projects in Glasgow from a brand point of view. So we were relatively early on with Gallo. Sorry?
We did a day, didn't we?
Yeah.
So
we're relatively early with Gallo. We've got Dave in Glasgow who's now returning my calls after 18 months of just ignoring me.
Returning your speakers when I hadn't opened them.
Yeah. 18-month demo, perfectly sealed boxes.
Saving them, right?
Yeah. And we'd said, okay,
a good wine.
And it was probably his idea. I don't think it was mine to say, right, there's some cool places in Glasgow. If we can do a deal here, either for some free speakers or really low cost speakers, we'll install them for free, and we're all going to benefit from the social media. And for me, that was like somebody opened the curtains on what social media can do, because we were putting out something that looked like it was on Netflix, you know, and it was 4K, beautiful, panning through a restaurant, a guy's cooking the burgers and there's droplets hanging down, or Dave's screwing something onto the wall. So us, the restaurant, Dizzyfish and O'Doom, overnight we're all getting to benefit from this, and we all shared it. We're all tagging each other. Nobody was trying to own it at all.
Yeah.
And we did that for 3 or 4 restaurants and bars to begin with, and that instantly that was it. And that was in the month before lockdown. So, but equally during lockdown, all the big brands basically furloughed their marketing staff. It's just an overhead.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there in like April and May when the market was starting to come back. And during COVID, and realizing no one else is doing anything, and we had all this great content, and we were just continuing to use O'Doom for all sorts of stuff, and that allowed us to put out the best content for almost any company in our industry, let alone one of the smallest, and the same for Dave.
And for our sector in this area, the places that we installed in, they were also sharing it as well, so they were part of what we were doing. It was quite a good little group.
Yeah, I'm always. One of our family members has got a restaurant in Tadcaster near you, and I'm always a little bit envious that all you've got to do is get the people within that 5-mile radius. There's something really nice about the kind of understandable geography, and I'm sure the flip side is we can sell something to the whole world. And I had the conversation with James Trumper earlier on when he was promoting all the 1AV products. And he would say, I'd say, I'm jealous of the amount of things you've got to talk about, because you can pick any of the brands and do. And he says, actually,
it makes it harder.
He said, I'm actually jealous of what you've got, because you just drill down on what you're doing. And it was a bit of an awakening. Yeah. And it was all in that same period.
Every distributor I talk to has got the frustration that they've got a marketing budget that has to be spread across every brand, and then they also can't look to favour anything, because even though they might say more, or AVRs gets more margin, or speakers gets more margin, they have to play this political battle to not please someone too much. And also on the other side of the coin is to push a brand away. Yeah. So they end up doing either nothing or really kind of like, it's flat.
It's corporate.
It's awful.
But that's where we're lucky, because Avril's got it planned out for all our brands as to when they get focused on.
I think it's communication. You know, if you've got a talent, a pool of brands there, and if you communicate with those brands to say, look, we're focusing on this month because it's going to be good for generating revenue. It fits this model, this, you know, like, I don't know what it is, it's cabling, and it's this time of year where most houses are going to get cabled. You know, like, I think there's an understanding there, as long as it's part of a community. I'm glad I'm not a part of it, because it sounds, I'd rather much have one focus, drill down on
You'd
that.
be paralysed. I felt it at the beginning of Pulseight and Gallo, going, what am I going to do this week? What am I going to post? It was much easier when you're just doing Gallo, and I've managed to get a handle on it now. And that's 2 brands. So if you've got 15 brands, and some are really difficult to post about.
Oh yeah.
And some are really sexy, but but which one's paying you the largest margin? Yeah, I don't envy.
It does make you think, doesn't it? Like, where do you start with some of the brands to even try and make them remotely sexy? I mean, Rich, we spoke about him a lot, but he's managed to make cabling almost attractive.
Oh, yeah,
even that, I was a bit like, God, that's a tough.
Yeah, I'd never thought I'd appreciate the back of a rack.
Suddenly,
I'm like,
that is
nice.
That's decent. That, yeah. Look at the Velcro on that. You know, it's amazing, and I think we've said this previously, and it's kind of a kind of go-to for me, is that whatever maybe the market's doing, maybe try something different. I do think the custom install kind of market as a general is very safe.
When everyone zigs, you zag.
Yeah. You look at the marketing.
As a quote.
I took
it from another podcast.
Is that on your office wall?
Yeah.
Took it from another podcast.
I also see a lot of product launches and press releases that could be written for any product.
Yes.
And that's not a knock at anyone's doing that, because I think there's a lot of people that are doing those press releases that haven't installed that product or don't feel it and love it.
But it's also who the press release is for.
Yeah.
So we didn't really send out press releases at Gallo. And I'm now, obviously the group now there's more, we're sponsoring the F2, that deserves a press release. So suddenly I'm finding myself in the press release world, whereas I was quite comfortable. I think I can do this on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But actually there is and that's not necessarily, just because I got away with
you
it.
wanted to bounce out of it.
Yeah. 5 minutes done.
Yeah. That's it.
But yeah, there's the magazines. The trade press and who's reading it, and it's a whole other discussion. Who's opening the magazines? But it just takes one right person to pick up on the press release, and you get one customer, and so on.
Yeah. That's it. It's about compound interest.
The 8th wonder of the world.
That's it. You slowly add small amounts over a long period of time, and guess what? You own the market.
Very true.
Yeah. So as we're talking about compound interest, let's talk about money. Let's talk about sales. So you've sold your business. What's your number? If someone came to you and said, I want distribution, I want it, I want distribution, give it to me. Have you got a number in your head?
No, we're enjoying it too much as it is.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there an exit plan?
Yeah, potentially. You're going to have to retire at some point.
It's important, mate, I've heard, because otherwise it's really hard to do shit under floors and in lofts.
When you're 77.
When you're 77, yeah. Can you get me? I got up in the lofts and I've pissed my pants, you know what I mean? Like,
that's when we're going to train cats to do it.
Train cats.
Dave and his nurses turn up.
Wow, there's a business in its own, yeah.
Joe, use the cat, the rat, or the ferret. It's different scales.
The Pied Piper turns up to your house and he opens the back of his van. Come on, cats.
Let's
12
do this
cats
house.
march out the back of it. And you thought I was installing today. How hard do you want your TV? Because we can only do around about 12 inches. These cats are small.
We can use 5 cats or 6 cats, depending on the level of cabling.
It's like measuring horses in hands. We're doing it in cats now. Fucking hell, this went off on a tangent, didn't it? Yeah. So is there an exit plan?
Ultimately, yeah, we just want to build something that's healthy and something that's organically built. Just now, it's not really, no, because we're enjoying it. We like what we're doing, and why would you give up what you like?
Do you feel like you're at the beginning of the journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so.
In the middle as a custom installer, but maybe at the beginning of the journey from a distribution point of view.
Sometimes you feel you're at the end as a custom installer, but yeah, probably in the middle. And the distribution, we're very much starting out. There's a lot of potential we got to do there, but we don't want it to be, buy this, you have to buy it. We want to grow organically. We want people to get it because it's good products and they know that it's reliable, and that's the whole point.
Where would you like to see the brand in the next 12 months? What's the type of thing that you're looking forward to kind of, I don't know, rubber stamping and saying like, oh, wow, we've got this, or we're in this position? What would be, there's always something. When I ask someone about 12-month goals, they're always a little bit panicked, like 12-month goal, but there's always something like burying inside, like, oh, I'd love us if we could have this.
The good thing we're noticing now is there's people who are buying from us and buying obscure things like Zero Ohm and things like that who haven't talked to me. So they haven't asked, how would this fit into my job? They've just bought it. And that's weird to me. And that's taken probably a year or so to actually get to that point with the more complicated products. That amazes me. Yeah.
I remember the stage with Gallo, because initially for the first 2 or 3 years, I knew every single customer that was coming on. And I felt like I'd brought them on. And suddenly the inquiries are coming through.
You're looking at it going,
then they don't need you anymore.
Don't you need me? Why wouldn't you ask me?
That's such a nice feeling. They've seen something somewhere across social media and come and ordered something, and I didn't have to be involved.
You've taught them to crawl. You've taught them to walk. And now they're off running.
Yeah, but it's people you've never talked to. So you haven't even taught them to crawl. You've never talked to them.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe they don't want to talk to you.
Maybe they don't. Or maybe
they spoke to people who do talk to you. So
keep away from that. It's a bit dodgy.
Exactly that.
Does he talk on the phone as much as Roddy Abbott?
I have to buy Zero Ohm through Dave. Right, fair enough. Let me go and open an account.
Roddy Abbott talks so much, he's still on my phone out there.
Still talking.
Oh yeah, that's it. The great thing is you could pick that straight back up and be right in the middle of it and sort of know where you are in the conversation as well.
Absolutely. And know where his dog is as well.
Yeah, exactly that.
Talking about someone else who's a brand. Yeah. The brand is the business.
Yeah, that's Mr. Roddy Abbott. That's very much the case.
Yeah.
Difficult to step away from. Difficult to step away from it, isn't it? So we'll go over to you, Colin. You're now in a sold position as Gallo, and you've got a few years to put the
Can I ask
in the
you
trenches.
one question first?
Go on, yeah. Sure.
Should you step away from smart homey?
For what reason?
Yeah. I selfishly, I don't mind admitting this, about 9 months ago when I was struggling like with my mental health, I nearly deleted it.
Wow.
And I know, and I feel really embarrassed about that because it's not mine, and really frustrated with myself that I'd even
that you thought you had the power to
what kind of horrible human being was I at that point that I thought that I had some kind of overture over everything, that I could be like, right, fuck this, like I own it, I can delete it, blah,
but
blah.
It's a spur of the moment decision. If you asked yourself 10 minutes later, you probably wouldn't have.
Probably not 10 minutes, probably a few more days. I think I was going through a point where I was going through my own personal shit, and I had a lot of people reaching out to me either to criticize me or to give me advice or asking for advice. And I was like, I am not in the mental health here to be able to either help or even take some of this criticism. Yeah. I should have just been honest. I should have just gone out. I did, actually, about a month later. I said, like, I'm going to take a break away. And I think there was like this hiatus.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice to see that. And we're in this journey of men talking about their mental health. And you've turned this around in the last kind of 2 years. Yeah. And I think it's, and you see the reaction from people on the forum.
Well, I also, when I stepped away, it continued to be, to a certain extent, with a few people that love to press and try and cause mayhem as much as they can on there.
Sorry about that.
It continued to be a good space for if you needed support, if you needed, that. And so, Smart Home is not mine. Yeah. It isn't mine. I know I am the face of it, but it isn't mine. It's
not our same arguments then, that we're the face of Dizzyfish and Gallo.
I think I'm just a face of a community. Do you know what? I'm the spokesperson from both sides of the story, and I take on that role nicely now. It's almost like an acting role. Is that I can come into it and I can then play the naughty character, and I can start pushing the boundaries of the questions that need to be asked. Yeah. But on the other side, I can start saying, "Come on, everyone, let's try and stick together, let's support each other." And I can play that card too. And then when I say play those cards, I mean in that respect is that it's nice to be that person to go out onto a community and say, look, actually, like we're going down to EI Live, we're going to an event together, like let's have a beer, let's have a drink. Stuff. This will be good for our mental health. It'll be good for your businesses.
Yeah.
Like the best piece of advice I give to anyone in this industry is two things. One is that if you're struggling for work, reach out to your customers because they've already bought from you. Yeah. And two, if you want to develop yourself in this sector, in this industry, go to events. You don't have to go to training. That might be step 2 or 3. I'm not saying don't do it.
Just get involved.
Just fucking go there. If you're really interested in it, go and meet other people and be around like your peers, because I guarantee it feels good for me, you and you, Colin. Like if someone comes up to you and asks you for advice, it feels good for us. You know, like I don't have all the time in the world to be dishing out advice, but I do like helping as much as I can tell you all the shit that I've done wrong. I can't give you the mystery key to unlock the industry. So
the get-togethers are so important. It is like when you, it's such a boys thing, when you go on a good stag do and you come back in the morning and you go, I hadn't met those guys, but they were lovely. I could do that every year with those people. I'd never met them all. I had the same, I had a message at the weekend from a friend's stag do exactly a year ago, and I thought I'd love to see them all again. But that's what you get, and you get it 3 or 4 times a year in this industry.
It's incredibly useful for your mental health. We are pack animals and we work well together.
So 2 years down the line, do you enjoy it now?
Smart homie. Yeah, I mean, what I tried to do a couple of things with it because I didn't know what I had. So I grew it. It's 4 years now, and I tried doing advertising, which didn't really work. Like, it caused mayhem. Like, distributors and manufacturers got frustrated with me. I got as much frustrated with them. It's like fucking herding cats. You know what I mean? Like, can I have a piece of content? What's content? Oh my God. Like, I can't cope with you. And then that would be the same reciprocated the other way, because they'd be like, I want to post something tomorrow. It's like, well, it doesn't work like that. Like, we tried to do it so, like, give me some time so then I can book it into the diary. I can get Hannah, my wife, to do it, or I can do it. But, like, it was always like, you know, it's like shots fired from all over the place. And it was just super messy. That didn't work. So I removed it. And guess what? Now it's just a thing. It doesn't generate any income. Like, when you say it back, it hurts.
It costs a lot of money.
It costs a fuck ton of money, like the podcast. And
you're all right there, mate.
This is therapy. This is absolutely therapy for me.
Good, yeah.
But it's what the industry needs.
Yes.
You know, like for all of what Cedia does amazingly in the industry, and I am the biggest advocate of what they don't do community very well. And it's something that they're trying to turn around now, and they're trying to pivot, and they're trying to do something with it, and they're trying to build those things together. And I'm so proud of what we've done with Smart Homie.
You can't do it artificially, and you can't do it as a KPI.
No.
Smart Homies grew organically one by one, and you built this community of people who were then involved.
When you set it up, did you think you'd have 5,000 within 4 years?
We had 5,000 within about 2 years. It's been drip feeding.
I know, but when you set it up, did you think you'd have 5,000 people in the group?
I just thought it'd be me and like 5-10 other people. Generally, when we set it up, it was designed for our local area-ish. Like, loads of electricians were asking me about like how you get into it, blah blah. You know, Rich always says to me, I had that idea of setting up a Facebook group. We were talking about it and all the rest of it. But it's a little bit like what he says about his training course, is that he had the idea. People had the idea of the training course. He was the first to do it. He didn't have the time to do a training course and do a community. He would never do. He was always going to do the training course, which earned him lots of money. Wait a second, still don't know if I picked the right one.
So he was earning from that,
and I picked the community thing where I just put loads of money into shit. But no, look, it's done Inspire amazingly. We've got some of the best contractors in the UK, all from that pool of just amazing talent. I've got some of my staff from there. I've got work from there, from people that can't do work in our area.
And we wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have met each other.
But it's the same as you saying about you do what you love Monday to Friday, so why do you want to change it? You do, on the whole, 80% of your time, 90% of the time, you love the Smart Homie thing and your involvement.
I love the community side of things, because I think it's important, because when I first started in this industry, no one wanted to reach a hand out and give me a hand up.
And you still read about this on the group.
Yeah. And that's always my frustration, is that what's the difficulty with showing direction? What's the difficulty with, you know, helping the entire community get to level 1? And then if they decide that they don't want to do it, and they make, you know, like the people always say like, oh, they'll make mistakes, and then we have to go around cleaning it up. You fucking made mistakes when you started. We all made mistakes. We've got to start somewhere, and as a community, we have some semi-control of being able to. Classic Matt Nimmons line now. How is it? As something about boats and the tides rising.
I'll phone him.
Yeah.
It was better when he said it.
Yeah, it was miles better when Niman said it. I feel like what I could do is I could ring him, interlude it into this audio, and it'd be sweet as not.
You could.
But it's that thing is that if we all, as a community, we come together and we I'm not saying give away all your secrets. We just reach out a hand and we just take someone to the next level. And like, from my perspective, if I leave anything in this industry, and I will step away from my business, we have got an exit plan. I know my number. I know where I want to be out of this. Is that I know I've left something that's pretty cool, that's useful.
Yeah.
Because the key thing is our industry is really difficult, because if you go to someone's house, there's a million products on the planet that they could put into that house, and they'll ask you to make them all work together. A plumber's got certain pipes they can use, an electrician's got certain cables they can use. We've got to get all this working together.
Yeah. And it's impossible. And I think also it sometimes requires someone to be honest across the line. And from my perspective, I think I've done a better job of probably raising the profile of this brand, Smart Homey, which isn't a company, it's not owned by anyone, than I have done of my own business.
With no direct financial benefit. Yeah.
But it's so joyful.
But that's the thing. How are you measuring it?
Yeah.
If
plus we have an audience. It has some leverage. It has some value along the way.
Yeah. If you're measuring it in pounds, how do you, when you're lying on your deathbed, how are you measuring the last 95 years?
But you also can measure it in pounds, because how many people in Smart Homies have been helped to get the jobs that they want or to get to the work that they can? So if you measure it in pounds, other people have made
millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of installs have been done.
Helped
just
so
none,
much.
just none of it is coming to you.
Well, I also think like Gallo as a brand. We were a small part of that brand growing.
Yes.
When we did the Gallo, throwing the Gallo balls, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And
Gallo Day.
Yeah, Gallo Day. Do you remember Gallo Day? Yeah.
17th September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weirdo.
Still is.
Yeah. Yeah, see you there,
Sure,
17th of September.
We'll host it.
Yeah. Now he's part of the big boys, mate.
Yeah.
He'll be able to do like a cake.
Do your guidelines let it be the 17th of September?
I've got it on page 75. I can check.
Yeah, have a look at his brand guidelines, 17th of September. He'll have 15 minutes in the morning to celebrate it, and then he's going to go back in his box.
Zoom. I'm available on Zoom. Okay.
Right, I think we should close this up now. It's been a strong hour, to say the least. Good. And I couldn't appreciate both of your time more, because it's a day out of your life.
Listen, you've driven up here. We appreciate it.
But this is cool as fuck. I love doing this. I just need to make it somewhat profitable. Or look, just make some money.
We'll do that offline.
We'll figure it out. We'll think about the smart home surgery as a brand. We'll sit down. This will be my elite team.
OnlyFans channel.
OnlyFans, yeah. I'd have better luck with my hobbit feet after walking here, wouldn't I? As they look under the table. Yeah, I couldn't appreciate both of your time anymore. I appreciate that both of you are busy boys. I can't wait to see the next stage of Gallo and see how that goes. I can't wait to see where Dizztribution goes to, because it's an idea I kind of wanted to do ages ago. But
he just said that people said that to him.
I know, but
and then he's
I'm so glad that it's got someone behind you, because it's
one of the good guys.
One of the good guys, yeah.
And so, to you, thanks to you though,
because
you've contributed to everything that we've done over the last 5 or 6 years.
It's been fun.
It's been great. And I remember sitting on the 24th of December 2018 or whatever it was, signing up and going, what's this all about? Yeah. And suddenly just dwarfed the industry. Yeah, it really did. It really has done. So, and congratulations for that.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
You can't appreciate from the inside what it is on the outside. You'll never be able to.
No, that's it.
But it's hugely significant to the UK and European market. But you'll just have to take our word for
America.
It.
Yeah. Like Robbie Williams.
It's difficult to break America. I don't know if you've heard. The Beatles took at least 2 albums, mate. Fuck's sake. It's harsh.
Tesco failed.
I think you'll find that 11% of the podcast are Americans. So
you got family out there.
Fuck you, Dave.
You got family out there.
Yeah, 6 of them. Try work that out from the mathematics. I think 1/3 of them listen to that. Right, I'm going to end with one question to Colin. Mm-hmm. So what did you sell for?
Just lots of Gallo beer and bears.
Yeah.
Like I've got containers of them.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Such a bastard. That's all that I wanted.
terrible.
I've got to do a lot of exercise to
can I
work
just
off.
say-
3.5 hours here, 3.5 hours
Can
back.
I just
That's
say,
it.
I had 2 Gallo jobs, one that happened last week, wall-mounted speakers, and one that's happening tomorrow for droplets. Not
Yeah.
a single Gallo beer in the box.
We're
Things have changed.
Oh, no,
Shit's changed.
changed.
We're in the
Yeah.
right platform
Corporate
because
We're
mate.
not one.
whenever we run out of Gallo beers, it's the Smart Homey community that tell us first. There's a new design. It's coming out.
This is what
Oh,
he
no,
says.
I hate
that's
it, I hate it.
corporate, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
used to
New
get
design.
complaints.
It'd be those little, those tiny little cans you get in hotel mini fridges.
One beer.
Because they're trying to reduce costs.
A sample pack.
Yeah, exactly. One jelly baby.
Well,
One.
we were buying them at the most. You should have seen the price of during inflation,
We don't
during
hear your
COVID.
sob story.
Yeah. We don't. It's just seeing your Lamborghini outside that you'll be taking home.
People are going to
Full
think
of
I've
Gallo
got.
beers and they put
Exactly,
it
yeah.
absolutely
Yeah,
rammed
that's
it.
That's it.
I'm going to have to put a picture of my car on just to prove to everyone I don't drive a Lamborghini.
Oh no, you don't worry. I'll sort that out.
Yeah, we'll get a picture of it.
Yeah. Thank you for your
My big
time,
head.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was brilliant.
Appreciate it.
What's up, y'all? It's your man, Montel Jordan. I get the awesome opportunity to sign you out today. But remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on iTunes. We'd appreciate that. We'll see you on the next episode of The Smart Home Surgery, and keep those good vibes going. 'Cause this is how we do it. Let's get it, y'all.